Welcome, everyone. I'm Sue Barber, author, former IT director for a Fortune 500 company, turned executive coach, and this is the Visibility Factor podcast, where we explore how to raise your visibility and play bigger at work and in life. We'll explore key topics and welcome guests that help you shift your thinking about yourself so you can see new possibilities for your leadership. I'm on a mission to create a visibility movement for leaders to show their value and be seen for their true talent. Are you ready to take the next step towards a higher level of visibility for yourself? Let's go. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Visibility Factor podcast. This is Sue Barber, your host. Today, I want to talk about the difference between self-promotion and visibility. Self-promotion is focused on how to get people to notice you. Visibility is about getting people to understand the value that you create. It's the whole reason I wrote the workbook, is all about helping you create more strategic visibility for yourself through the language that you use, how you position yourself, and the work that you're doing so that others can see that you're ready for the next step. And because visibility and self-promotion have been linked together in some ways, I think it has been hard for people who are more humble, who are more introverted, who struggle with the spotlight, who don't want to brag, because they're trying to avoid self-promotion. They don't want to be talking about their results for fear of being seen that way. And there are times where people who are self-promoting might be taking credit from other people. They might be the loudest voice in the room. And they're very focused on building their own personal brand and seeking attention. Anyone who is more in those categories of humbleness and introverted and a little more shy, they are not interested in self-promotion at all. And I avoided it myself for a long time because it felt inauthentic to me. I thought if I talked about my results and accomplishments, it just would feel false. And it felt like somebody who was bragging, and that was just not my personality. So instead of doing anything, I did nothing, which is also not the right answer. But what I learned over time, and what I've written about in both books and talked about here on the podcast, is that we need people to be visible in a way that feels authentic for them and aligns with their values. And when you can do that, then you can talk about your accomplishments and results in a way that feels true to who you are, and it feels very authentic. So strategic visibility is a term that I've started to use more often recently because it is really describing the way that you need to be visible. You need to do it strategically and demonstrate that you are ready for the next thing. And talking about the value that you create and how you lead through change, through crisis, through difficult situations, how you're willing to challenge, are all things that people need to see from you. And I used to believe, just like many of the people that I work with, and you might as well, that you work really hard and that's all you need to do. And of course, that led me to work 1,000,000 hours, but it didn't obviously show my true potential because I was doing it behind the scenes. I wasn't necessarily talking about the things I was doing. I was just working really hard, hoping someone would notice. But when I got into these situations like a crisis, or when we would have an acquisition or something really big would happen with an IT implementation, those things pushed me out of my comfort zone. And it gave me the chance to show and make visible the capabilities that I have, my leadership, and how I could strategically think about things and demonstrate that to others. And those moments were the real game changers for me. And it made a difference in how people saw me and that I was ready to handle a larger leadership role. So the important things that you need to demonstrate to your leadership are how you think about things, how you make decisions, the collaboration that you do with your team, with other functions in the organization, how you influence others to get things done or to move things forward, the business impact that you are making on the organization through the work that you and or your team are doing, and how you have a strategic perspective about things. Are you thinking about the big picture? Are you thinking ahead? Are you being prepared for situations that might come up and having a plan for how you'll handle those? So the bottom line is strategic visibility isn't about increasing attention. It's about creating a stronger understanding of you and the value that you bring and allowing the organization to have the clarity it needs to move decisions forward and deliver business results. Because ultimately, making your leadership visible isn't optional. You have to do it. You have to find a way to do it. And I know that might sound scary if you haven't done it before, But as I told a client today on the phone, we're just taking baby steps. We're not doing something radical. We're not doing something crazy. I want you to be a little uncomfortable, but not so uncomfortable that you stop doing it, right? It's about showing yourself that you can do it. Everyone knows that delivering business results is important, but it isn't the only responsibility that you have. You have a responsibility to strategically communicate how you achieved results and why they matter to the organization. So not only are you demonstrating these leadership behaviors, but you also need to communicate a little bit more and provide transparency as to how you're doing them. For example, priorities. How did you choose what mattered most? For decision making, how did you get to that decision when it was really, really challenging? Strategic thinking. How do you think about the big picture? What is it that you think about? The impact of the work that you're doing. How do you achieve business outcomes? And then lessons learned. What did you learn to apply in the future? These are things that many of us have done and repeatedly done, but we often don't talk about how we do them. And the how is important, especially when you're trying to help your team learn from you or other people in the organization. And it's especially important when you're trying to demonstrate these behaviors to your leadership team. Talking about them is how they see the internal view of what you're doing, and not that you're just doing it at a surface level, right? That you are taking the time to think about your decisions, think about how the impacts might affect business outcomes. Talking about those things in a strategic way helps people understand that you are ready, that you are thinking bigger. So strategically communicating the context, for example, of what you do with your teams, with your clients, with your leadership and the rest of the organization is important. It helps people see the vision, the strategy that you have, and they are now aligned to deliver what it is you need. So let's think about for a moment what you are doing and how you're demonstrating this. And I'll give you some examples. So you're thinking, are you challenging the status quo? Are you thinking bigger? Do you have strategic ideas that you're sharing? Are you talking about the decisions that you're making and how you made them? Your impact. This would be business outcomes and how you achieve them. Do you find cost savings? Are you simplifying processes and procedures? Are you creating value and talking about it? Your leadership. Are you developing your team? Are you influencing change? Are you really focused on the impact at all times? Because if what you're doing isn't making an impact, then is it the right thing to do? Your potential. Are you managing a crisis? Are you working across the organization? Are you handling the unexpected with composure? Every day, there are opportunities to solve a problem, close out a gap, handle something that's unexpected. And are you ready for that? And sometimes preparation in advance or thinking about how you would navigate those situations is important for you to be able to do it when it actually does happen. So giving this transparency to your leadership allows them to see you more clearly, and then they can answer some of the questions that they may have for themselves. Questions like, does this person understand the business? Do they make good decisions? Are they thinking strategically? Are they making a valuable impact on the business? And do they focus on their own growth and want to improve? These are questions that people ask themselves, maybe not out loud, but when they're trying to determine if someone's ready for the next step. And these are the kinds of questions that they think about and need to be able to answer in a way that they feel comfortable, that they trust you, that they can see that you're ready. So when you're in front of a leadership team, are you demonstrating how you think, how you make decisions, and talking about that? Are you demonstrating the competencies that you have so that people can see them in a bigger way? Or are you continuing to only just talk about the execution of the work that you're doing? They need to see more transparency from you about what you're doing and how you're doing it, because they need to be able to know that you're going to be ready for whatever comes your way. Whatever challenges you face, you'll be ready for them. So ultimately, the bottom line is that it's your responsibility to create value and demonstrate what you have done to your leadership so that they can be thinking about you for new opportunities. The question that you need to answer is, are you making it easy for your organization to recognize, trust, and leverage your leadership? If the answer is yes, great. Keep doing that. Keep finding ways to do that. If the answer is no, then think about how you can start doing more of it. Talk about things in meetings that not only describe the what you're doing, but how you're doing it, because it makes a difference. That is where the value comes in, right? You are the only one who can do it in the way that you are. And they need to see more of that because that shows them that you're ready, that you've been working on these things for longer than maybe they knew, and that you're ready for the next step when it comes along. And that might be sooner than you think. If you know somebody who would benefit from listening to this episode, please share it with them. Thanks so much for joining today on the Visibility Factor podcast, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks so much for listening to the Visibility Factor podcast. Remember that visibility starts with small steps that are intentional and consistent each day. Be bold, be visible, be the leader you were meant to be. Find us and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever else you listen to podcasts. Follow us on all of our social media platforms, which are highlighted in the show notes. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time on the Visibility Factor podcast.